Hey, this is Marc Goldberg from Marc Vlogs Watches, and we have an important video subject today, and I really want to share the information with you. This video is about how to buy a Rolex from somebody other than an authorized dealer. When would you want to do that? Well, you might want to buy a used Rolex, which we're going to talk about, or you might want to buy an unobtainable Rolex, a Rolex that the authorized dealers just don't have in stock, which is most of the hot models today you can't even get from the authorized dealer. So we're going to talk about how to do this and how to do it safely. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this topic, let's get rid of the quick fist watch check. Check. And here she is. This is the 50th anniversary red line 43 millimeter Sea Dweller, a watch that I purchased at the authorized dealer, but of the 6 Rolexes I own, are there 6? I think there's 6. Of the 6 of them, it's the only the second one that I've ever purchased from an authorized dealer. Now, this is a very broad topic with a lot of details, so I've got notes, and much like Lincoln, I've written mine with Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. You know, it's written on the back of an envelope, and you know, my stuff is written on an envelope too. So forgive me, I'm going to have to look down from time to time. Okay, so really, the first question is, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Why buy used? So I want to just briefly address it, and then we're going to move into where we're going to spend most of our time, which is on the how. Okay, but listen, when you buy a car and you drive it off of the lot, you know, as you cross, you know, the curb and pull out onto the street, instantaneously your car has depreciated X%. And that's going to vary according to the brand, make and model of car that you have purchased. And the same is true of watches. But I know we talk a lot about Rolex retaining value. Rolex retention is very good, value retention on a Rolex. Good, it's true. But nonetheless, when you calculate the difference between buying at retail and then inevitably selling at wholesale or paying sellers' fees through any of the auction houses and so forth, the reality is that Rolex depreciates too. And it's only over time that you recoup your investment. So one of the primary reasons of buying a Rolex or any luxury brand used is you can buy it already depreciated. Somebody else already took the hit. So that's really, you know, a key factor. You want to buy it at the bottom of its value retention, not at the top. So buy it at the bottom of its price range, not at the top. And typically you can do a bit of a better job of that, with some exceptions, but typically you can do that better when you're buying used. You will not get a very difficult to obtain model cheaper anywhere other than the authorized dealer. It's always going to be cheaper at the authorized dealer. What kind of models am I talking about? The Rolex Pepsi on the Jubilee bracelet with the brand new movement. The steel Daytona with the ceramic bezel. Those watches are always going to be cheaper. This watch, the 50th anniversary Sea Dweller, those are always going to be cheaper at the authorized dealer. The problem is that unless you're a VIP, meaning you spend tens and tens, like maybe literally $100,000 with an authorized dealer in the last year or two, then they're not going to sell you that watch. They have whales, guys. They have people that are very important to their business, and the rare ceramic stainless steel Daytona that comes in the door, they're going to make a call and they're going to sell it to somebody other than you. All right, so this is another reason to buy away from the authorized dealer, because you can get the unobtainable. Although you will pay a premium for it, at least you can obtain the unattainable. Now, again, also too, before we move into like where can you buy and how do you buy from these various sources, I want to quick tackle the issue of should you buy only with box and papers. So that is a very personalized question. Here's how I'm going to answer it. If you are a really finicky collector who is going to obsess if you don't have box and papers, then only buy box and papers. I have a few watches where I don't have box and papers, and I don't care. But there are people who, and because I never even look at the box, I just put it away. I want to have it, yes, but I just put it away. Now, if you're one of these people who's literally going to pull out your box and look at it from time to time, or if you're going to obsess that you don't have completeness when you don't have box and papers, then definitely, you know, sacrifice the cheaper deal on a no box, no papers watch and stick to your guns, get box and papers only. But if you're not worried too much about completeness, and if you are not flipping, constantly and regularly, then box and papers won't be important. If you're a flipper, meaning you keep a watch for 6-8 months and then you want to get rid of it because you got bored, buy box and papers because it's going to make it easier for you to sell that watch. So are box and papers important to me? Usually not. What's more important to me, quite frankly, is the price. Okay. Now, I will put in the description of this video a link to a video that I made about how you can get some replacement box and replacement papers. It's not the same as buying with original box and original papers, not the same. But there are some things that you can do to provide you with the level of security and flippability to a certain degree. But original box and papers is best. Okay, now let's talk about where are the different places that you can buy. There are 5 of them that I'm going to talk about. And let me just run through the 5 and then we'll go back and give you lots of details. So the number 1 place that you can buy a used Rolex, or even a new Rolex, just has not ever been worn, but somebody else's name is on the warranty card, would be through the gray market. An example of gray marketeer would be Joma Shop. And another example would be Goldberg, also goes by Watchbox. Okay, those are gray marketers. So that's one option. Number 2 would be used watch dealers. Some of them are very well known, and some of them you never heard of. I'm just going to mention 2 really well known ones would be Kenny Nguyen at Jewelers on Time and David SW. And these are guys who sell used watches, but they have been around for so long, they're very well known, very well respected. The 3rd place that you can buy a watch used, or not from the authorized dealer, would be through the forums. There are Rolex forums. Some of these forums are on Facebook. Some of them are just on Tapatalk, or are unique forums on their own web pages. And we'll talk about the considerations when buying from the forum. Number 4, CRAIGSLIST. Lots to talk about, lots to know about CRAIGSLIST, but that's number 4. Number 5 is eBay, which is the fleece bay. eBay, it's like one of the heavy hitters in the used watch market. Okay, let's go back and let me run you through real quick some of the considerations when buying through the gray market from like a Joma Shop or a Goldberg. First, they have some new watches. These are watches like brand shit spanking new with stickers and everything. Never been worn by anybody. So these are virgin watches, guys. So as an example, Joma Shop's got a bunch of Omega Speedmasters, in the big box with the tools. I think for like $3,700. That's like way less than retail. So there's a good reason to buy that kind of watch from them. Is it's new. You don't get factory warranty. You get Joma Shop warranty, but they're reputable and they've been around for a long time. So you would go to the gray market when you want to buy something new at a discount like the Speedy. Now, you're not going to get a new Rolex at a discount, but you probably can get certain models new of the Rolex at a premium. So it's not going to be a discount. It'll be over MSRP, but they're unobtainable at the authorized dealer. And a lot of times the gray marketeers do have those watches, a few of them in stock. Okay, so if your burning desire is to get a Pepsi and you don't want to go on a non-existent waiting list, then of like 5 years, then you can just get one out of the gray market. So I'm also going to put a link to the video I made about the Rolex waiting list, in the description of this video, because the Rolex waiting list is a little bit of a lie, and I made a whole video talking about that. Okay, and just finishing up with the gray market, listen, if you are dealing with a well-known, reputable, long-standing gray market firm, then your transaction is safe. That's what I want to say. It's safe. And you can pay those guys by numerous methods, all the way up through and including a bank wire transfer. A bank wire transfer, once you send it, you never can retrieve that money. So you have like no protections. But if you're dealing with Joma Shop, you're not going to need them. And they're going to give you 3% discount for paying by bank wire. So I would not have any compunction about doing that. In other words, I would do it. So method number 1 is the gray market. Now, the benefits are you're going to have a safe transaction. The possible negatives are you probably pay a little bit more for a lot of watches than you would if you use other methods. But you know, peace of mind is worth a lot, guys, so don't dismiss it out of hand. All right, method number 2, used watch dealers. Now, inevitably I'm going to offend somebody because I'm going to leave somebody out. I've only mentioned 2, which is Jewelers on Time and Kenny Nguyen. There are many more, okay? And some of you are my friends, and I know you. So, but those are the 2 that I'm just going to mention. Guys, do your due diligence. You can ask for names on the forums. You can ask for names in Facebook. You can ask for references and recommendations, okay? But the advantage of buying from those guys is that you will get used stuff at a discount, and I'm talking about used all the way back to vintage. So like a 2-line no-date sub. You know, these guys will have them in stock, or if they don't now, sooner or later they will, because their stock is revolving. So you can get used watches at a discount. There's not giant discounts on Rolex, but the older stuff sometimes a little discounted. If it's true vintage and collectible, no, there's a premium on it. But my point is that they have stock of used watches. These guys also sometimes have the unobtainable, difficult to find stuff at a premium. And generally speaking, the big guys, that like the ones that I mentioned, they have a good selection. They have a lot of inventory. So that's really nice too. So they have plenty to choose from, and that is to your benefit when you're trying to pick out a watch. And finally, they are also safe. If you stick to somebody that everybody speaks highly of, then you are safe paying by wire transfer and getting, you know, a small discount, because then they don't have to pay PayPal fees, or like if you charge something with a credit card, they're always worried that you're going to be, you know, they don't know you, you know, nobody ever heard of you. So everybody heard of them. So they're not too likely to screw you, but they're worried about fraud too. And what if you pay by American Express, you know, and then you just reverse the charge? So they want to protect themselves as well. And bank wire transfer protects them and charges them the lowest possible fee. So that's why they'll offer you a little discount for paying that way. Okay, and I have no compunction. I think used watch dealers is a great way to go. Again, you're probably going to pay a smidgen more if you go that route, but if you buy from a reputable used watch dealer, it's worth paying a few % more, because you don't have to worry. I mean, we're talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars here. You may as well not worry. Okay, number 3, the forums. So first, if you're going to sell on most of the forums, you have to go through some process where you've posted 100 times literally in the Rolex forum. The forum organizers get to know you, you build trust. I don't have a lot of experience. Actually, I have 0 experience buying through the forum, so I'm going to admit that right here, right now. But I still feel that you have to be very careful when buying through the forums. Lots of people do it, and lots of people have really good experiences doing it, but you are not dealing with a company. Sometimes you are, but you might just as easily be dealing with an individual, right? So it's more like a person-to-person transaction. And if I feel like the buyer who is going to purchase through the forum should be a very knowledgeable buyer. So if you're a collector, you've been at this for years, you can smell a rat, you can smell a fake, you've done dozens of watch transactions, you know the rhythm of these things and how they're supposed to feel, I feel like you're a good person to buy through the forums. If you're buying your first or second luxury watch and you're new at this, don't buy through the forums, because I feel like there's just too much to know. When paying through the forums, I personally would want to pay via PayPal, and I would not want to pay through PayPal Friends and Family. If you pay through regular PayPal, you get buyer protections against fraud from PayPal. They're not perfect, but they're worth something. If you use the Friends and Family option, either you or the other guy, somebody is saving a fee. So there's a fee for using PayPal, and Friends and Family, depending on how you do it, either you'll pay the fee or let's just put it this way, the buyer won't pay the fee. The problem is that you have no recourse. Friends and Family is like a no recourse payment. You cannot call PayPal up after the fact when you've paid Friends and Family and say, I need my money back, there's fraud here. So don't do that on the forums unless you're super knowledgeable. And if you are, you might even be dealing with somebody that you know and have experience with, or your friends know them. So Again, number 3 is buying through the forums. I feel like that's more for the knowledgeable buyer who's been through this lots before. The 4th method is Craigslist, and I think this is nasty. I don't like Craigslist, although my friend the rancher, he does very well with Craigslist. So real quick, let me just say, I'm in a major metropolitan center. I'm in the Chicago area. So Craigslist is busy. So there's just like hundreds and hundreds of listings. And on Craigslist, you're going to find so many fakes and so much garbage that it's like digging for a diamond through tons of dirt. And I wouldn't do it if I were you. But if you're in a small metropolitan market, if you're in the flypaper states or someplace where the population is really small, well, Craigslist is no longer like digging through 800 listings to find like the one legit watch that's not a fake. Okay, so you'll dig through less garbage, and so if you're in some tiny little county in Wyoming, Craigslist might not be a terrible option for you. The only thing I'm going to say is if you go the route of Craigslist, I want to be sure that when you meet the seller to look at the watch, you are meeting either at a police station or a bank. Because you want to meet at a secure location. Don't be meeting in parking lots, homes. It's not safe. There are people who target other people figuring that they're carrying cash to make a purchase. So it could be a setup, meet at the police station or at the bank. Just, if you're buying through Craigslist, I think your personal and financial security should be first. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about Craigslist. Now, eBay. There's a lot to know about eBay, but I'm just going to hit the highlights. And I'm going to tell you, I like eBay very much as a buyer. If I'm buying a watch, I like eBay because I know how to use it. And although the fraud protections are very poor if you're selling a watch, if you're buying a watch, fraud protections are strong. eBay is very good about protecting the buyer, which is you in this instance, the scenario of this video. If you're selling a watch, I'll make you another video later on how to sell a watch, but buying through eBay is a whole lot safer than selling through eBay. So let me just run through my notes and the highlights. If you are relatively new to this, then when you're looking at watches, go right to the seller before you get real involved with dealing, making decisions about watches. Look at who's selling the watch and maybe stick to sellers who have a lot of experience on eBay, and that would mean that they have, let's say, a minimum of 500 feedback, and you want to make sure that that feedback is, the vast majority of it is called good or positive, and I'm talking about like 98, 99%. I would not buy from somebody who has less than 98% positive feedback and who has at minimum 500 in feedback. Okay. Now, I'm going to put a screenshot. I'm going to drop it in a moment. But there, when you're searching on eBay, you can apply filters. And one of the filters that you want to apply is to look at sold and completed listings. And I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Okay, so you want to throw those tabs. I showed you the tabs off of a screenshot from the app, but you can just as easily be doing that if you're looking at it on a laptop. The point is, if you filter correctly, then eBay will be showing you sold and completed listings, and in most cases, not all, but in most cases, they will be showing you prices. And what you want to do before buying, or before buying anything, you want to go through eBay and you want to figure out, gee, like maybe in the last 8 months, 6 or 8 months, what is the lowest price that anybody has sold this watch for? So I'll give you an example. I bought a Rolex Polar Explorer 2. It's the 42 millimeter one. I bought it on eBay, I guess about a month or two ago. And before buying it, I went through old and completed sales on eBay using those filters that I just mentioned. And what I discovered was that one person had sold, one or two had sold that particular watch for in the $6,000 to $6,200 range, which is incredible because they were all on the web or listed on eBay for minimum $7,000, most of them around $7,500. It is a watch that retails for $8,150 or real close to that by memory. And so my goal was to buy that watch right at the low. I'm always wanting to buy the watch for, I don't want to be the guy who paid the historical high. I just want to be the guy who pays the historical low. So what I did was I looked on eBay and I looked to see who are people who have 500 or more in feedback, 98, 99% positive feedback, and critically, who have their watch listed with a buy it now price. I don't care what that is. If it's $8,000 and I want to buy it $6,200, I don't care. I want to see though that they have the make an offer feature enabled so that I can shoot them an offer. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. I don't participate in auctions and I don't think you should either. So if it's a watch for auction, just pass it by. But if it's a watch for sale with a buy it now price, don't care what it is. But if the seller has enabled the make an offer, then go ahead and make an offer. And don't offer your, the high of what you're willing to pay, but don't offer too much under it either, or you're just gonna piss them off. And you might piss them off anyway. But what I did was I spent like 3 or 4 days annoying, irritating, and offending, probably every eBay seller selling the watch that I was looking to buy with offers of like $5,800, waiting to see who would counter me. Most of them just refused my offers. Some of them were listed at $7,500 and they countered at $7,400. And I just didn't. When I hit my $6,200 offer and they rejected it, I just took that one off my list. You know what happened? I don't remember if it was the second or the third day. I found a guy who said, "Fuck it, the wife is going to kill me if I don't get rid of this watch," and he took my offer of $6,200. And that included shipping, but I offered an additional $50 if he would overnight ship it, which he did. So I got my Polar Explorer, no box, no papers, for $6,250 the next day, which is like the historic low for that watch. By the way, it still had a couple stickers on it. Like it had one sticker, it had the sticker, the factory sticker on the back. Okay. So that's how I recommend that you do that. Use the best offer, but don't pay over your historic low. Set a budget and don't go over it. And sooner or later, you'll find a guy who just says, "I gotta sell this thing. It's killing me, but okay, I'll take this." And you're looking for that guy. Now, when you do that on PayPal, you'll be prompted to pay through PayPal. Be a quick pay. Don't be a jerk. If somebody just gave you an amazing price, then just pay them right away. And use PayPal, okay? That's pretty much the way eBay owns PayPal, and eBay kind of funnels you. They want you to pay by PayPal. If the seller contacts you and asks you to pay by wire transfer, I'll give you a deal. Or use PayPal Friends and Family, I'll give you a deal. Report them to eBay and bail right out of the transaction, because that's likely to be fraudulent. You want to pay through regular PayPal, and be aware, whatever your registered PayPal address is, that's where they're going to ship. You cannot tell them, "Hey, why don't you send it to my work address instead?" Because then they are subject to fraud. The only safe thing they can do is to ship it to your registered PayPal address. So just be aware of that, but go ahead and pay by PayPal. Okay, now here is my wrap-up point, my final point that I want you to take into consideration. I don't care which of these 5 methods that we just talked about, I don't care which of them you use to obtain your watch. I hope you get a great deal. But however you got that watch, like very shortly after you get it, if it's a Rolex, take it to a Rolex authorized dealer and ask, which is by and large jewelers, and tell them that you would like them to do an insurance appraisal for you on that watch. It'll cost you presumably between $75 and $100 to do that. They might need to keep the watch overnight for a day or two to just let their jeweler have time to do it, or they might do it on the spot. But it won't be unusual if they need to keep the watch for a couple of days. They'll give you a receipt. So no problem if you need to leave it overnight, but here's what you're going to get back. The authorized dealer is familiar with that brand of watch, and in creating the insurance appraisal, they'll essentially be authenticating the watch for you so you know you don't have a fake, and that's the most important thing. Frankly, I would do that even if I got box and papers with the watch, if I were you. But if you didn't get box and papers with the watch, you just got a great deal instead, no worries, but spend the extra, you know, $80 and get that insurance appraisal, because it gives you not only paperwork you need for your insurance company, but it gives you peace of mind and authentication. And what it means is you don't need to go back to your seller and say, hey buddy, I'm sending you this piece of junk back and I want my money back. Okay, hope that all makes sense. So, in the comments, tell me how you buy used watches, what you think of all this. I know this has gone a little bit long, but I am so often asked how to do this safely. I really wanted to share my thoughts, my wisdom with you. This is Marc Goldberg. Peace out.